They thought I was just a poor tour guide from the mountains until I exposed the truth on Livestream and ruined a billionaire, Heiress's life on her own show. A dating reality show decided to come all the way to our mountain town for filming, and they needed a guide. As the only college graduate in the entire town, the responsibility naturally fell on my shoulders. I had planned to quietly fulfill my duty, but who knew that one of the female contestants just had to make trouble? My family has been wealthy for generations, but did I say anything about it? Seriously, in this day and age, why judge people by their looks? Dating reality shows sure have become wild these days. Instead of staying in the comfort of the city, they just had to come out to our little Appalachian town to stir things up. They set up tents, built a campfire, and watched the stars trying to get all romantic. But after all their fussing, they realized they hadn't planned one crucial thing for tomorrow: getting a tour guide. How were they supposed to manage without a guide? It's the middle of nowhere. If someone gets lost in these mountains, it'd be a disaster. The director spent half the day explaining to Mr. Carter, our mayor, what exactly they needed. And boy, were their requirements high. Not too rustic, not too plain, they said, because, after all, it's a dating show. Preferably someone with a bit of education, the director added. You never know when the couple might get awkward when they're alone. That's when the guide can jump in and save the day. And so, as the only college graduate in town, I was handed the glorious task of being their guide. Mr. Carter found me napping on the old country bed in my house, dreaming of handsome guys. But the moment I laid eyes on Ethan Williams, I knew that dream was over. Brittany Ross, the woman paired with Ethan, instantly hated me, especially after she caught me smiling like a love-struck fool at her partner. Her eye roll was so dramatic I thought her eyes might fall out. This girl from the mountains isn't what I expected, she said, covering her mouth, half laughing. Look at her. She's not even shy around handsome guys. Last time I was here, the girls would blush the moment they saw a guy. Her snide tone didn't faze me. I tilted my head, looking innocently at her, and asked, "Oh, have you been to the mountains before, sister? Couldn't find love last time, so you're trying again?" I said, as sweet as sugar. As soon as I spoke, not just the crew, but even the usually stoic Ethan glanced over. I kept my wide-eyed, innocent look staring at Brittany. After all, the mountain air here keeps us looking young, and my plain clothes only made me seem more like the sweet, innocent type. Brittany's face turned every shade between green and white, a sight to behold. What nonsense are you talking about, kid? Don't you have any respect for others? Oh, here we go. I wasn't about to take that hit. I immediately put on a sad face, looking like I was about to cry. Hey, what's this about? I didn't bully you. Brittany took a step back, startled. I just think Brittany's right, I said, my voice small and trembling. I really shouldn't have spoken like that. I pouted, looking as pitiful as possible. I've heard my dad say that it's hard for women in the city to find a good match these days. It's not just about themselves. It's about family background and education, too. I mean, did I just ruin your chance to fall in love with Ethan? I asked, glancing directly at him. Ethan's eyes sparkled. He must have stifled a laugh earlier, making them shine even more. I'd already heard about Ethan Williams before the crew even made it up the mountains. Honestly, it was because of him that I decided to stay in the mountains for this break before school started. Because let's face it, he's gorgeous. So you're really staying in the mountains for some pretty boy? My dad asked when he heard I was interested in a guy. He stayed up all night having someone investigate Ethan's background. He's the son of a rich family, Ivy League educated and handsome to boot. He was only on this dating show because it was a family project, just there to make an appearance. But to my dad, he was just some pretty boy who wasn't good enough for his daughter. Check him out, sure. Your daughter's got everything. She just needs a reliable man, I said. And with that, my dad dropped the subject, even thinking I had a point. Fine, but when the crew leaves, someone's got to collect the final payment from them. You can help me with that, he added. Oh, right, I forgot to mention the mountains they're filming on. They belong to my family. It's land my grandpa left us. After he made his fortune, he stayed in the mountains as a forest ranger, thinking he'd earned enough and didn't need to work anymore. I grew up here, so I know every inch of these mountains like the back of my hand. But these folks from the city don't know anything about my background. They think I'm just some lucky kid who managed to escape the mountains for college. So I've just laughed off any condescending comments they've thrown my way, except for the times when Brittany's face turned into a full-on color palette of embarrassment. Ethan, on the other hand, was the quiet type. If something didn't concern him directly, he wouldn't say a word. But as soon as everyone's attention shifted away, Ethan suddenly spoke up. Yeah, finding a good match in the city is tough these days. I saw his assistant's jaw drop in surprise. I saw Brittany's face turn the color of mud. And I saw Ethan flash me a rare, amused smile. I straightened up, feeling a proud sense of victory bubbling inside me. Well then, I'll make sure to be more careful next time when talking to you. Brittany. I've got a sweet tongue and a hard-working attitude. On our tour, I took them to all the scenic spots, saving the crew a ton of time on filming. By lunchtime, the crew liked me so much they'd started slipping me extra snacks. Brittany had been trying to hold in her annoyance all morning, but seeing the crew treat me kindly, her trouble radar kicked in. "Oh, I didn't realize it before," she said, nodding at her assistant. "But go ahead and give the snacks to little Jessica. These are things you don't find often in the mountains." The cameras were rolling and she acted like some sort of angel, but anyone with half a brain could tell she was trying to embarrass me. I blinked, playing dumb, letting my gaze flick back and forth over the snacks her assistant handed me. "I've had these before, Brittany. Is it your first time trying them? How cute." Brittany's smile froze on her face. No, I have these all the time. I brought them just for you," she said, her voice faltering. "Oh, no need to make a big deal of it. I eat these all the time too," I replied, smiling politely. "And wow, Brittany, you're amazing. Eating snacks like these all the time and still staying in such great shape," I said, pinching my own stomach with a playful expression. "Unlike me." Brittany forced a laugh. "You've got a great figure too." "Really?" I asked, tilting my head. "I run around these mountains every day, but my figure's nowhere near as ordinary as yours." I gave her a once-over as I said the words ordinary, my face scrunched up in mock confusion. "Honestly, running around the mountains every day keeps me in way better shape than delicate Brittany could ever hope for." Ignoring Brittany's expression, Ethan chimed in, sounding curious. "You run around these mountains every day?" I turned to him and nodded. "Yup." "I heard these mountains are privately owned," Ethan said, clearly puzzled. "Yep, they are," I agreed. "They belong to my family." The crew fell silent for a few seconds, and everyone stared at me like they'd just learned a huge secret. Even Brittany was too stunned to speak. "Your families?" Ethan squinted. "These mountains all belong to your family?" I nodded, standing up and pointing to the farthest peak they could see. "Yep, all of them. Feel free to visit anytime. I'll ask my dad to give you a discount. I'm probably the first person ever to invite people to visit the mountains for fun." The crew was in shock and the cameras kept rolling, but they seemed to forget they were filming a dating show. I didn't mind. Feeling refreshed from the break, I led them to the next scenic spot. "This area's perfect if you want to set up camp," I said, gesturing grandly. "Camp? How far is it from the guest lodge?" "No way I'm staying here overnight." Brittany piped up before anyone else could speak. She shot me a dramatic eye roll like I was the one pushing her to sleep in a tent. What's her problem? If you don't want to camp, maybe let the crew know ahead of time instead of throwing a fit at me. Brittany's complaint left the director a bit speechless. "Brittany, we agreed to camp before we started filming," the director reminded her. "Who agreed to that? The tent's just for show, right? This place is crawling with bugs, what if they bite me?" Brittany whined. "City folks sure have it rough. I've lived here for years and barely get bitten." "What? Does she have blood that's special to mosquitoes?" I rolled my eyes and sat down, waiting for them to figure it out. I thought it was just a disagreement between Brittany and the crew. But before long, the blame got shifted onto me. "That girl said these mountains are her family's, right? Can't she at least arrange for us to stay at the guest lodge?" I glanced at the confused director, unsure how I got dragged into it. Just then, Ethan walked over. "Brittany insists on staying at the lodge. The director says they haven't booked it for that long. So now she's blaming you," he explained. "Ridiculous. Don't let it bother you," he added. I didn't want to deal with it. But even when I stayed quiet, someone always found a way to make it my problem. "Why aren't you saying anything? Could it be you were lying about everything?" Brittany snapped, hands on her hips. I stood up, brushing off my skirt and smiling confidently. "Fine. You want to stay at the lodge for a few more days? Follow me." Our town used to be poor. But once my family became wealthy, we helped our neighbors and lifted everyone into a comfortable middle-class life. So sometimes I have more pull than even Mr. Carter. A few extra nights at the guest lodge? No problem. Mr. Carter agreed so quickly he didn't even ask for payment. Brittany got her wish, but I got a bit of praise in front of the crew, making her more irritated than ever. But what could she do? This was my turf, and I had plenty of ways to handle her. After getting Brittany settled, the crew was utterly exhausted. The director, trying to be kind, called it a day and suggested everyone rest. "Is the shoot done for today?" I asked, glancing around, then waved Mr. Carter over. "Yeah, after a whole day of running around. Time to get a hot shower and sleep," the director said, casting a quick glance at Brittany. His message was clear. If it weren't for her insisting on avoiding the tents, they'd all be resting by now. Just as we finished talking, Mr. Carter drove up in a small bus. "Everyone hop on. Bring all your gear," I called out. "All our gear?" the director asked, confused. I nodded with a smile. "I'm taking you somewhere better." The better place was none other than the 5-story villa my brother built halfway up the mountain, It's tucked away and private perfect for a film crew to relax without being disturbed. When the bus stopped, the director and crew were in awe. You'll stay here tonight. There's a hot spring for soaking in the rooms, and on the second floor, we've got a small restaurant. It's nothing fancy, just simple home-cooked meals, but I hope you don't mind. This is your place? The director asked, his eyes wide with envy. It's just something my brother built for fun. It has way too many rooms, so I don't dare stay here by myself, I said with a casual smile. The director's eyes flickered with hesitation, but he still rubbed his hands together awkwardly. This feels like too much. Are you sure it's okay? What's there to feel bad about? Otherwise, it's just sitting empty, I replied with a smile. You'll be out here in the mountains for a month. You'll want a comfortable place to sleep, right? The crew, who had been listening in, all nodded in agreement. The director was sold on the idea, and soon everyone agreed to stay. As we finished up our conversation, Brittany Ross stepped off the bus, throwing a fit immediately. What's the meaning of this, kid? She shouted, causing everyone to look her way. I tilted my head innocently, pretending not to understand. What's wrong, Brittany? If you had such a nice place for us to stay, why'd you stick me in that guest lodge? Were you trying to humiliate me on purpose? Wow, she didn't even wait for me to respond before twisting the whole situation to make herself the victim. I wasn't having any of that. I crossed my arms, my tone growing cold. What are you talking about, Brittany? You were the one who threw a tantrum demanding to stay at the lodge. Brittany clearly didn't expect me to push back. Her face twisted in anger, but she was at a loss for words. How was I supposed to know you had a place like this? She shot back, rolling her eyes and motioning for her assistant to hurry and find a room. I wasn't about to let that slide. I stepped in front of her assistant, blocking their way. I'm sorry, but I don't think you're welcome here, Brittany. This place may have a lot of rooms, but it's too small for someone like you. You said there were plenty of rooms. Brittany fired back. Sure there are. But none for you, I said with a calm smile. Brittany was so furious that her face went pale. Take her back to the guest lodge, I said, nodding to Mr. Carter before turning and heading inside with the director and the rest of the crew. When we reached the second-floor dining room, Ethan was already there waiting for us. Why did it take you so long to come up? He asked, frowning slightly. Brittany wanted to come along. I didn't let her, I replied. Since there were so many people, the room's fancy furniture had been pushed to the sides. In the middle stood a long buffet table, ready for us to eat. I picked out a few of my favorite desserts and sat down next to Ethan. I could tell he had something on his mind. I'm so annoyed by Brittany. I lost my appetite and just want something sweet, I said, assuming he was worried about my eating late at night. But Ethan sighed, pushing his untouched pancakes towards me. That's not what I'm concerned about. Then what are you worried about? I asked, genuinely curious. I'll admit, Ethan looked pretty sexy when he was being protective. Brittany's family has some influence. I'm worried you'll end up on her bad side and she'll retaliate, he said, his voice low. I wasn't surprised that Brittany's family had some clout. I mean, how else would she have landed on a show like this with Ethan? But I was surprised that Ethan came to warn me. Your families must have some connection, right? Is that why you're forced to work with her? I asked. Ethan didn't try to hide it, nodding. Yeah, our families hoped we'd get together for real. But I'm just not into her. That much was obvious during filming. They practically had to script his lines for him. He looked like a hostage half the time. Ethan's warning was spot on. The very next day of shooting, Brittany started making trouble. There's so much stuff here, I can't carry it all. Jessica, can you help me? She called out. She had dragged along so much junk you'd think she was fleeing the apocalypse. I didn't move. Don't you have an assistant? She got sick because the lodge was too cold last night. Brittany replied with a straight face, as if that made it my problem. I was about to give in and help her when Ethan gently grabbed my arm. My assistant can help you, Ethan offered. His male assistant stepped forward, grabbed Brittany's bag, and ripped. The bag tore wide open. The poor assistant stood frozen in place, unsure what to do, while Brittany's face turned darker than a skillet. Ethan didn't miss a beat. Wow, Brittany, looks like your designer bag wasn't made very well. I walked over, glanced at the bag, and saw the neat slash across the bottom. Oh, don't blame the bag, it's clearly been cut. Brittany, would you like me to call the police? No need! Brittany snapped, grabbing the ruined bag. Her things were scattered everywhere, which wasn't exactly a great look. I thought for a moment, then handed her a plastic bag with an innocent smile. Maybe use this for now, Brittany? A garbage bag? You want me to put my expensive makeup in that? She asked, her face filled with disgust. Your family's rich, right? How come you don't have another designer bag? Are you even capable of taking care of your guests? She spat. I could have bought her a designer bag. But let's be honest, did she really deserve one? I placed the garbage bag neatly on the table beside her, my smile never faltering despite her insults. Well, Brittany, you don't seem like you're short on cash. With how much rural areas have improved lately, you could order a new one online. I bet it'd arrive in no time. Living out here in the mountains, I often turn to online shopping out of boredom. In fact, my brother had even arranged for a helicopter to deliver my packages quickly. If Brittany dared to order a new bag, I'd gladly have a helicopter fly it in for her. But would she? Brittany froze for a second, then sneered, "You country bumpkin. You've probably never bought a luxury bag in your life. Real luxury bags have a wait list. You don't just buy them on a whim, you know?" She scoffed. "Well, in that case, there's no helping it. You'll just have to make do with the plastic bag for now," I said with a shrug, glancing at my watch. "The Rangers will be here soon. They don't take kindly to litter, so you'd better clean up." "Litter? You're calling my things trash?" Brittany screamed. Before she could say anything else, a few Rangers in uniform walked over. "What's going on here? Didn't the film crew promise not to leave any trash around?" One of them asked sternly. At that point, I didn't even need to say a word. Brittany looked like she was about to faint from frustration. Now that's real trash. Of course, Brittany wasn't done with her antics. When trying to frame me didn't work, she turned to passive-aggressive remarks. "I was doing my job as a guide, leading the crew through the mountains," when Brittany started in again. "Jessica's such a professional. If she hadn't told us, I never would have guessed she wasn't a real tour guide. Ethan and I have had so much fun these past few days," she said loudly. Even Ethan flinched, looking mortified. I bit my lip to hide a smile and glanced over at Brittany, curious about what she'd try next. "I'm glad you've been enjoying yourself, Brittany." "Oh, absolutely," Brittany continued, her eyes gleaming with mischief. "Jessica, you're so good at this. Did you study to be a tour guide in college?" The whole crew went quiet. By now, they all knew I was the only college graduate from our little Appalachian town. Sure, I came from money, but who cares about that? Just getting into college was a big deal for a kid from the mountains. Even Ethan looked worried, like he was afraid I'd take the bait and get embarrassed. The cameras were already zooming in on my face, hoping for some emotional drama. This was their usual go-to strategy for boosting ratings. But I never play by the rules. "No, Brittany. Columbia doesn't offer a major in tour guiding," I replied. "You went to Columbia?" Brittany's voice shot up, her eyes wide with disbelief. I nodded. "Yep, I studied finance. It'll come in handy when I help my dad and brother manage our businesses." What could there possibly be to manage out here in the middle of nowhere?" Brittany stammered. "There's plenty that needs managing, believe me," I said, acting like I was about to launch into a long explanation, but I cut myself off. "But you wouldn't understand." Brittany trembled with frustration, and the cameras captured every second of it. After a long, tense moment, she finally managed to say, "Well, I wouldn't know. I studied abroad." "Oh, big deal. Studying abroad, how impressive." I gave her a half-hearted nod of acknowledgement, but my expression held no warmth. Brittany wasn't ready to let it go. "I bet the admission standards here aren't that high, right? I mean, it's such a poor area. They probably lower the requirements." I shook my head calmly. "I wouldn't know." "You wouldn't know?" "No, I came in first in the entire state." "I didn't need to worry about that." You were first in the whole state?" Brittany's voice wavered and her face went pale. Someone in the crew pulled out their phone, exclaiming, "She's telling the truth. There's an article about it." "Yep, top student from the mountains, scoring first in the entire state and getting into Columbia." It was a story that made headlines. My dad had been so thrilled when he got my results that he had a special article written about me, complete with my photo. Honestly, if Brittany had bothered to look me up before coming at me, she might have avoided all this embarrassment. After what happened last time, Brittany Ross finally calmed down. Not that she had much of a choice, because when the first episode of the show aired, the editing team had kept all the scenes where she tried to make my life difficult. I found out about this while I was on the phone with my dad. I was skimming through the show's promotional materials when I asked him, "Dad, did you have something to do with this?" My dad didn't even try to hide it because he knew he couldn't. "Yeah, I gave the producer a call. I could have handled it myself, you know." I wasn't mad at him, I just felt like I'd lost out on some fun. Watching Brittany get all riled up was kind of entertaining. She had no idea who she was messing with, trying to bully my daughter. White family or not, if she keeps it up, I'll make sure their whole family's finished. I'll never understand how my calm, respectable grandpa managed to raise such a hot-headed guy like my dad. I rubbed my forehead, sighing. "I know you've got my back, Dad. But since when have I ever let anyone get the better of me?" "Fine, you go ahead and deal with her. But if you decide to bring down the White family later, I won't stop you." My dad knows I like to play games with people, so he lets me do my thing. "All right, you handle it however you want. I'll be here to back you up." With my dad's support, I felt a lot more at ease. But with everything he'd already set in motion, I wasn't sure if Brittany would keep messing with me. The incident had blown up online, with plenty of people rallying to my defense. I wasn't sure if Brittany would still have the nerve to bother me. The Britney saga continued to stir up drama on the internet. Even Ethan mentioned that his company's higher-ups were discussing whether they should replace her. Some people are still defending the White family, though. They say replacing someone mid-show is a huge no-no, so they haven't made a decision yet. I didn't really care for Britney, but if she was going to ruin Ethan's show, I started to feel a little bad for him. She's not an idiot. She's got to know that if she acts up again, she'll definitely get replaced. You don't have to worry. That's what I said, but some people just can't help themselves. And Britney was one of them. She'd toned down her bad behavior around the crew, but when it came to me, she just couldn't resist poking the bear. Apparently, someone in the White family came up with the idea of doing a live stream to fix her public. Image streaming behind the scenes, footage with the crew during their lunch breaks, trying to show how relatable she was. When Ethan heard about it, he refused at first, saying it wasn't his job to help her out. But for the sake of keeping things civil, he eventually agreed to the live stream. As for me, I started eating lunch with Ethan every day just to avoid her. Out of sight, out of mind, right? But of course, it didn't work out that way. Ethan even had one of his assistants monitor the live stream every day to make sure Britney didn't pull any stunts. Today, however, something felt off. The assistant seemed nervous when he came to talk to me. "What's going on?" I asked, curiosity getting the better of me. The assistant glanced at Ethan before hesitantly handing me a phone. "The number of viewers on the live stream has been skyrocketing over the past few days, and that's a bad thing?" I raised an eyebrow. I knew the production team was treating Britney's live stream as free publicity for the show. She was famous for flaunting her wealth, with nearly 1 million followers on her streaming platform. Why not capitalize on that? It's not bad, but ever since the day before yesterday, Britney's fans have been stirring things up. "What do you mean?" I asked. The assistant looked uncomfortable. "They're saying you're just a poor girl from the mountains, and Britney's just being blunt because she cares about you." Apparently, Britney had been playing the victim on the live stream, claiming she hadn't meant to bully me. Instead, she was blaming the show's editors for making her look bad. "Britney said all that?" I asked, my eyes widening. Was there anything more disgusting than this? "And she also said you two are actually close friends. And the show was edited to make it look like there's tension between you." "Friends, me and her?" "Yeah, right." I turned to Ethan, fuming. "Aren't you guys going to do something about this?" Ethan looked just as frustrated. As annoying as she is, we can't deny that this whole thing is boosting the show's ratings. Looking at his exasperated face, I suddenly lost all interest. Seriously? All this time I thought I was messing with Britney. But in reality, I'd been helping him boost his ratings? I, Jessica Moore, had never done anything so embarrassing in my entire life. But I wasn't angry. I stood up calmly, dusting off my skirt. I suddenly felt like all the effort I'd put into looking cute today had been a total waste. I turned to leave, but Ethan jumped up from his seat, blocking my path. "Jessica, don't do anything rash," he pleaded. I met his anxious gaze and smiled faintly. "It's just for the ratings, right? I'm going to join Britney's live stream. Trust me, your show's ratings will go through the roof." Without waiting for his response, I brushed past him and left the room. I knocked on the door to Britney's live stream room, and when I entered, she was in the middle of streaming. The look on her face when she saw me was priceless, caught completely off guard. Since the live stream was already broadcasting sound, and with all the assistants too scared to say anything, I made my grand entrance. "Hey, everyone!" I waved cheerfully at the camera, addressing the viewers. And just like that, the live stream exploded. "OMG, Britney wasn't lying, the tour guide just showed up? They look like they're getting along. Look, she's even got her arm around Britney. Is it just me, or does Britney not seem too happy about it? Look closer, she's not just putting her arm around her. Look at Jessica's fingers, they're squeezing her shoulder." I was gripping Britney's shoulder tightly, and the forced smile on my face was starting to hurt. Yeah, I didn't have time before, but I figured I'd drop by and hang out with Britney on her live stream today. What am I doing here? Well, earlier today, Britney said my makeup wasn't blending well, so I'm here to get some tips from her. I glanced at the mess of makeup scattered across Britney's table, making up the excuse on the fly. Britney, still looking shaken, had no choice but to play along, even though she clearly had no idea what my game was. "Yeah, I did offer to help Jessica with her makeup earlier," she stammered, fumbling through her cosmetics. After some rummaging, she pulled out a sheet mask that she was endorsing and, almost reflexively, shoved a tube of lipstick into her drawer. "Here, start with this mask." Word was she was supposed to be doing product placement during today's stream. Now, because I'd crashed it, she had no choice but to follow through. As for that lipstick, I'd done some digging on Britney after she first ticked me off. This woman was obsessed with lipstick, so much so that she'd even flown overseas just to buy a limited edition shade. I eyed the color on her lips as I casually examined the sheet mask she'd handed me, before slapping it on without a word. This mask is great for brightening. Brittany rambled on and on as I sat there, letting her do her thing. She continued applying layers of sunscreen, foundation, and setting powder on my face, carefully walking her viewers through every step. I stayed silent, sitting obediently as she applied makeup, all while glancing at the camera every now and then. Slowly, Brittany's guard began to drop as she got back into the flow of her live stream, even engaging with her fans. Yep, you all saw the behind-the-scenes footage, right? Jessica's actually a Columbia University grad. I was so surprised. Surprised? Brittany, you looked like your eyes were about to pop out of your head. And girls, don't just focus on your studies. You need to learn how to present yourselves too. I mean, like it or not, people always judge based on appearances. She stared directly at me as she said this, clearly directing her advice my way. This was the perfect opening. I straightened up and studied my reflection in the mirror, pretending to scrutinize the makeup job Brittany had done on me. Then with a small sigh, I said, "You know, Brittany, you're gorgeous. You can pull off a look like this, but me? I don't think this makeup suits me at all." Brittany froze for a second, then let out an awkward laugh. No, you look great." I shook my head, my eyes landing on her lipstick. "But Brittany, I really love the color you've got on your lips." "What shade is it?" "Huh?" Brittany faltered. I pressed further. "Which lipstick is it?" It's really expensive." Brittany stammered, her expression turning sour. "Oh, so you're saying the lipstick you gave me to use is the cheap stuff?" I pretended to be taken aback, glancing nervously at the livestream chat. It was as if I didn't know what to do next. "Well, never mind," I said, still acting confused. "Actually, this shade I'm wearing looks pretty good on me too. Just send me the link later so I can buy it myself." I went back to fidgeting with the makeup on Brittany's desk, acting like I didn't care. The viewers had long since caught on to Brittany's extravagant, materialistic personality. This whole stream was supposed to be about showing her down-to-earth side, and here I was stirring the pot, making her look stingy. What does she mean by this one's expensive? How expensive could it be? Brittany's such an idiot. All she had to do was say she didn't bring it. Why make it sound like it's a big deal? She probably didn't want to share. Earlier she was bragging about how hard it was to find that lipstick. As the comments grew more and more critical, Brittany's face turned pale with embarrassment. "It's not that I didn't want to let you use it," Brittany said, forcing a smile. "It's just that this color wouldn't suit you." She was trying to save face, but after a long, awkward pause, she begrudgingly pulled the lipstick out of her drawer and handed it to me. "What? That was the lipstick she hid earlier? Why all the fuss?" She was going to hand it over eventually. I took the lipstick, but I played innocent. "Oh, I just wanted to see it. I'm not actually going to use it." I examined it carefully, pretending to be clueless. "Brittany, do you really like this color?" "Yeah, it's gorgeous, right?" Brittany forced another smile for the camera. "It is, but this shade isn't hard to find." I blinked, keeping my expression sweet and innocent. Her face froze, and for a moment, she didn't know how to respond. "What do you know?" There was an awkward silence. Everyone in the room seemed to hold their breath. Realizing her mistake, Brittany quickly backtracked. This shade is really popular. It's so hard to get. I had to fly overseas several times just to track it down." "Oh, really? That's odd. I have the same one at home," I said casually, pouting slightly. "It even has my name engraved on it." "Kids shouldn't make up stories," Brittany snapped, standing up in a huff. "I've bought so many lipsticks over the years, and I've never seen anyone with their name engraved on one. Sure, that lipstick was expensive. And yes, certain colors were hard to get, so it wasn't out of the realm of possibility that she had to fly overseas to buy it. But to claim she'd never seen a personalized one? That was just ignorance." "Oh, Brittany, let me open your eyes." "I'm not lying. Why don't I take you to see for yourself?" I said, smiling innocently. Without waiting for her to respond, I grabbed Brittany by the arm and led her out of the livestream room. "Where are you taking me?" Brittany protested, her voice rising in panic. The livestream was still going, and Ethan always ready to go, along with my schemes called off the rest of the day's filming. At that moment, I wasn't thinking about any man. My entire focus was on one thing, humiliating Brittany in front of her fans. If she thought she could get away with manipulating the narrative online, making me look bad, today would be the day I turned the tables on her. It didn't take long to reach our destination. The car pulled into the garage of my family's estate. As we walked, I casually explained to Brittany's livestream viewers, "This is my home. I've let the production team stay here while they film." The camera panned around the garage, catching glimpses of the luxury cars parked there. The viewers were already buzzing with excitement. "Wow, look at those cars. Who owns all of that?" "Oh, those belong to my brother," I said nonchalantly. "He never drives them, and I don't either, so they mostly just sit here collecting dust." Brittany trailed behind me, her face frozen in shock, clearly unable to keep up with the flow of conversation. The elevator in the garage was made of glass, so as we rode up, viewers could see the entire layout of my family's home. Along the way, we bumped into a few staff members who greeted me warmly, completely ignoring Brittany. I led her straight to my makeup room. Inside was a floor-to-ceiling cabinet filled with every kind of makeup imaginable. The sheer number of products, many still unopened, left Brittany speechless. Where did you get all this makeup? And why haven't you used any of it? Brittany looked like she'd just walked into a treasure vault. Oh, my brother sends them over. His company partners with lots of luxury brands, especially in the beauty industry. Since they're expanding into the US, I always get the first batch of new products, but I have way too much, so I just leave most of it unopened. Brittany was too stunned to speak. Meanwhile, I casually browsed through the rows of lipsticks, finally picking out the one engraved with my name. I tossed it to her. She caught it, her hands trembling as she examined the engraving. Her face drained of all color. See? I wasn't lying, was I? Go ahead and explain to your viewers. The thought of having to praise me in front of her, fans acknowledging that I was wealthier, more connected, and more powerful was probably more humiliating to her than any direct insult. But she had no choice. If she didn't, she'd be exposing herself as a liar in front of her entire fan base. So she forced a smile, praised me for my lipstick collection, and tried to carry on like nothing had happened. But I wasn't finished yet. I grabbed Brittany by the arm and dragged her out of the makeup room, heading for my walk-in closet. When the lights flicked on, her eyes practically bulged out of her head. Rows of designer shoes, bags, jewelry, and watches filled the entire space. Every major brand you could think of was represented, with limited edition pieces and rare finds tucked into every nook and cranny. I put my arm around Brittany, forcing her to look straight at it all. Remember when your bag broke last week? I told you to just buy a new one, didn't I? Look, these were delivered right after. She stared at me, her legs wobbling like jelly. She could hardly stand, let alone walk. What's this about a broken bag? Wow, now this is what being rich really looks like. Brittany looked like she was about to faint. When she saw that wall of designer goods, I smiled and patiently answered all the questions coming from Brittany's viewers. The backstory will be revealed in the second episode, so make sure you watch it. And hey, Brittany can definitely afford all this, right? She's just a little tired right now. I ended the live stream with a cheerful wave and turned to Brittany. So, how do you like it, dear? I asked sweetly. She finally turned to face me, a defeated look in her eyes. You did all this just to embarrass me during my live stream, didn't you? I took a step back and chuckled coldly. Of course. Otherwise, how could I have captured that priceless look on your face? You'd better be ready for the second episode. Nothing will get edited out this time. Let's see how you explain all the things you've said and done to me. I walked away, my smile fading as I added, Friends? With someone like you? I'd rather not. Just as I predicted, the second episode aired without any edits. The footage showed Brittany at her worst, bossing people around, being rude and trying to bully me. People who had watched her live stream finally connected the dots. I hadn't just been being friendly in the stream, I'd been putting her in her place. Brittany's public image took a nosedive, and even though her fans tried to dig up dirt on me for revenge, they couldn't find a thing. Eventually, the search results for my name were even blocked because the situation got so heated. Because of all this, the production team decided to cut ties with Brittany completely. After learning about my family's influence, Ethan's father personally reached out to invite me to participate in the show as an official guest. But I wasn't interested. You're not going after this guy anymore? My dad asked, a bit puzzled. I'd never given up on something I wanted before, so my sudden change of heart over a man surprised him. I rolled my eyes and shifted to a more comfortable position on the couch. He's lost his appeal. I'm over it. The moment I realized Ethan had only been using me to boost his show's ratings, I was done with him. So, does this mean you're not interested in finding a man anymore? My brother chimed in through our family group chat. He was busy trying to close a deal on a big international hotel chain, a deal that promised to make him even more money. Nope, not interested. I already have everything. If I had the perfect man too, wouldn't that just be too much? My brother, who never missed an opportunity to tease me, chimed in again. So you're really not planning on finding a man now? I smirked at his comment, shaking my head. Why bother? I've already got everything I need. If I had the perfect guy too, that would just be too much for one person, right? But even after I said that, it didn't stop Ethan from trying. He wasn't exactly subtle either. Ever since my little spat with Brittany and the fallout from the show, he seemed to show up everywhere, trying to coincidentally bump into me. One day I heard a knock at the door. When I opened it, there was Ethan, looking as if he had dressed up just to see me. I crossed my arms, leaning against the doorframe. Ethan, what are you doing here? He gave me a sheepish grin, looking almost boyish. Jessica, listen, I think you should give me another chance. I raised an eyebrow, clearly unimpressed. A chance? What for? I don't know, maybe get to know each other better? He stepped closer, his expression a mix of desperation and charm. I made a mistake. I'm sorry for how things went down with the show. It was obvious he was still trying to salvage the mess that had been created after Brittany's drama. But I was over it. I couldn't help but feel a little insulted that he thought showing up at my door unannounced would change my mind. I gave him a once-over, trying to keep my voice steady. "You're too late, Ethan." But he started to protest, his expression growing more desperate. "No," I cut him off, shaking my head. "I'm not interested anymore." He looked genuinely hurt, and for a brief moment, I felt a twinge of guilt. But then I remembered how he had only been trying to use me to prop up the show's ratings. That was enough to make my decision final. Without another word, I stepped back inside and closed the door in his face. Summer passed by, and soon it was time to leave my Appalachian home and return to the city. The drama surrounding Brittany and Ethan had all but settled down, but there was still one thing left: the fallout. Both the White and Williams families had become tabloid fodder after the reality show debacle, and news of their financial troubles became one of the hottest gossip stories of the year. As for me, the moment I stepped onto the campus at Columbia University, people were already whispering behind my back. "Jessica, I heard your family owns like an entire mountain. Is that true? Jessica, I saw your walk-in closet on the show. Your style is insane." Most of the attention was harmless, people just curious about my background. But of course, there were always a few who couldn't help but throw shade. It's just a reality show. How much of it was real anyway? One girl sneered loud enough for others to hear. "I mean, come on, who really believes all that fifth-generation wealth stuff? In America, please?" Sounds made up to me. Her voice rang out with a mocking laugh, catching the attention of everyone nearby. I sat there bored, resting my chin in my hand as I watched them. Honestly, I had been getting a bit restless lately, and these petty jabs were more amusing than annoying. Oh, how wonderful. Another person stepping up to challenge me. This might be fun.